Once again, I welcome you to Moment of Empowerment with Pastor Ezekiel Ojo. Today, we're going to be looking at a topic titled, What Takes You There Might Not Keep You There. What takes you there might not keep you there. In life, what is required to get to the top might not be enough to keep you at the top. Everyone wants to get to the top. But what you require to get to the top might be different from what you require to stay at the top. Life comes in dispensations, and the requirements for each dispensation may vary from one to another. To make a success of the journey of life, many times requires the rare combination of the wisdom of Solomon, the dexterity of David, and the sagacity of Jesus Christ, and the understanding of the children of Issachar. Of the children of Issachar, the Bible says in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32, and of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and their brethren were at their commandment. Today we are going to look at two characters in the Bible to drive home the message that says what takes you to the top is different from what keeps you at the top. The first example is a character called Moses. Moses' birth was shielded in mystery, and parenting in the house of Pharaoh happened, immediately distinguishing Moses as a man of destiny. While growing up in Egypt as a prince, Moses knew who he was, and he knew his assignment of a deliverer. So he started showing this knowledge as a little boy. In Exodus chapter 2 from verse 11 to 15, Exodus chapter 2 from verse 11 to 15, the Bible records an event that will represent a turning point in the life of Moses. From verse 11 I read, and it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their bodies, and he spied an Egyptian, smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, whereof smited thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killed the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. The story of Moses is very interesting. As an Hebrew boy, he thought he was fighting for his people by killing an Egyptian. Pharaoh was not pleased with what Moses did, but the God of heaven never took it against him. But fast forward to Numbers chapter 20, from verse 7 to 12. Numbers chapter 20, from verse 7 to 12. I read, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes. Instruction was very clear. Speak unto the rock before the eyes of the people. And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, so thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him, And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels. God did not ask him to do that. Must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly. And the congregation drank, and their beasts also. The instruction to Moses was very simple. Speak to the rock, and water will come out. But Moses went ahead, summoned the people, called them rebels, and smote the rock twice. He called them rebels that God did not ask him to call them, and he smote the rock twice. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, Because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. God was angry at the action of Moses. One would have thought that what Moses did by killing the Egyptian was a more serious crime than the sin of anger. No, God's ways are not our ways. When Moses killed the Egyptian, he was a nobody. But by the time he became the leader of God's people, the stakes were higher. What God overlooked then, he will not overlook now. What got Moses to the top could not keep him there. The second story is the story of Queen Vashti in Esther chapter 1 and 2. The king summoned her, and she gave the king a public snub. And of course, she was demoted, and she lost the throne. She possibly must have been having her way before the king before now. But on the day that the king wanted honor from her, she did not pay attention to the importance of her presence before the king. Her true character showed up. What got Vashti to the throne was her beauty. But the beauty could not keep her on the throne. She needed more than beauty to stay relevant in the palace. We need to pay attention to life like the children of Issachar, who knew the seasons and the times and what Israel should do. Queen Vashti was beautiful. She became the queen because of her beauty. She took the king for granted. She disgraced the king before his guests. She lost the throne. Her name was never mentioned again after Esther chapter 2. She lost the throne, and the throne was given to her neighbor who was better than her, Queen Esther. Beauty got her there, but character could not sustain her. Her character was wrong. Pay attention to the demands of the seasons of life. Some things that you did several years ago and kept you relevant might not be the same thing you have to do now. Why? Because demands will change according to the seasons of life. What takes you there might not be enough to keep you there. What skills can get you may need character to sustain you. You've got into a position of influence or position of authority because of your skills. A time will come that everybody will get used to you having skills. So they will look up to more things than skill. And that is where character comes in. What takes you to the top might not be able to sustain you at the top. Till I come your way same time next week on Moment of Empowerment, I remain Ezekiel Ojo. God bless you.